Welcome, everybody. It is October 17th, and this is the Town of Ulysses Planning Board meeting. We are going to start off with a roll call for the record.
Rick Schneider, Linda Little,
Bart Gregg,
Pete Angie, Chair.
Carl Pankowski, alternate. Mo Klein.
And I would like to add an item to the agenda. Rebecca, would you describe the item that you'd like to add?
yes, there's a piece to our zoning code that I've been looking for a long time, and it was definitely buried, and I want to bring it up for our discussion tonight about what the implications are for the way we've been dealing with subdivisions.
Could we do that after the Palmer Garage before the town board liaison report?
Yep.
All right. Could I get a motion to approve the agenda with that addition?
Yep.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Excellent. All right, so the next order of business is our minutes from the October 3rd meeting. Has everybody had a chance to review those?
Looks good to me. Yep.
Okay. So I would accept a motion to approve the October 3rd minutes of the planning board. Mo,
I'll second.
Rebecca second, any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Excellent. So tonight on our agenda, we have Gales 2-lot land subdivision public hearing. And then we also have some new business items, which are sketch plat reviews, where we go over the materials submitted for new projects and get to give feedback to the applicants and make sure that the project application is complete. So first off, we have privilege of the floor, which is an opportunity for members of the public to make comments on anything that does not have a public hearing tonight. Something has a public hearing tonight, which is the Gales 2-lot land subdivision, then save comments on that for that order of business. But this is an opportunity for members to raise any topic planning board related, zoning planning related that they would like. Do we have any takers for privilege of the floor? Okay. Any takers online for a privilege of the floor? All right, looks like there are no takers, so with that, we'll close privilege of the floor. And we'll move to the Gales 2-lot land subdivision, final plat review and public hearing. And so because this is a public hearing, I'd invite the applicant or the applicant's representative to come and just give a little outline of what the subdivision is, where it is, and the acreage, those kinds of things. And just state your name for the record.
Yes, I'm Eric Whitney. I'm also a Town of Ulysses resident at 8085 Falls Road. I'm helping Kim Gale because I know her as a family friend, and she's doing a subdivision of about a little more than 8-acre parcel of land up on the Jacksonville Road near the Perry City intersection. And the intent there is to house both her mother, her sister, and herself in 2 houses on that lot.
All right, thank you. And so I just wanted to just specify that the address is on Jacksonville Road, yet to have a number because it's not subdivided yet. Parcel A would be 1.43 acres and parcel B would be approximately 6.63 acres. And it would be a flag lot. The new lot would be a flag lot, and it meets the minimum requirements for depth and width and volume of the flag. And last time that we were here on October 3rd, we had looked at the application materials, and we had noted that there were some wetlands in the back of the property to be subdivided, in the back of the flag, and asked the applicant for some additional information, which the applicant has provided. And so with that, I would direct the board to look at the application, including those new materials, and open for discussion.
Is this a public hearing?
Yes, this is a public,
Okay,
hear-
so
oh,
we can
yes,
talk
all
about
right,
it,
yes.
okay.
So with that said, sorry, thank you, Rebecca. This is open for, actually, I would accept a motion to open the public hearing for this project.
Brad, for one.
Okay, second,
Second.
all right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, excellent. So if you have a comment on this subdivision, come forward, state your name and address for the record, and you'd have 3 minutes, which all time to speak about it. And if you're online up on Zoom and you have a comment, just raise your hand. Let's keep the public comment open while we have our discussion, in case anybody has a comment after. So we'll keep the public comment open at the moment and open discussion for the board and any questions that board members might have of the applicant as well.
Just one.
Yeah.
Thank you for correcting the map. Eric, appreciate that. Just curious why in the seeker state description in the 13A wasn't answered. So 13A does any portion of the proposed action or lands adjoining the proposed action containing wetlands or other water bodies regulated by a federal, state, or local agency. There's no answer there. This is what we brought up last time. B, would the proposed action physically alter or encroach into any existing wetland or water body? And actually, that's no is correct. So I think the first one should be a yes. 13A. Anybody with me on this?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna bring up
Okay,
as
good.
well. Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
agreed.
So that's just a minor change. Otherwise, and now that you see where the borders are, they'll be able to put the house in and everything where they want to.
Yes.
Yeah, okay, great. That was the main concern. They might not realize it was gonna constrain what they could do. Okay, great.
Any other questions for the applicant? Any discussion among the board? I didn't see resolutions for this, Neil, but I would like to
Yeah.
move forward with the seeker and you did?
Yeah,
You did see resolutions where?
There's
I think
two
they
of
were
them,
res- I thought they were-
Good, I'm glad. I just. where
21
are
and
they?
22.
I'll come down if you need.
Mhm. Where did those come in?
Separate email yesterday.
Uh,
Yeah, it came in yesterday.
It was yesterday.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. 444 yesterday.
444 yesterday. I have a 247 email from Niels. Let's see.
I just sent you them again. If
Did
it's
you?
easier.
Okay, that's great. Thank you. Appreciate it. Still trying to, let me see. There we go. All right, thank you. All right, well, I would like to move first, so I would accept a motion. Are there last call for any comments from the public for? Yeah, all right, Rebecca? Is this a comment for the public hearing? Rebecca, we can't hear you. Could you unmute yourself? No,
Looks like we lost her.
it's like you lost it. You're not making a comment. If you get any closer to that podium, you're gonna have to. All right, well, why don't we move with the seeker, give her a minute in case she signs back on.
Yeah.
Any other comments about the seeker? Any other thoughts about it other than writing yes for that 13 part?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so planning board resolution number 2023-021, resolution of secret determination for Gale's 2-lot land subdivision located on Jacksonville Road in the town of Ulysses, tax parcel 26.-3-11.3. There are 15 points, which you can all read, and the body of the resolution is the planning board resolves that the town of Ulysses makes a negative determination of environmental significance in accordance with Article 8 of the Environmental Conservation Law and 6 NYCRR Part 167, New York State Environmental Quality Review for the above referenced action as proposed based on the information in the short environmental assessment form, and therefore an environmental impact statement will not be required. I would accept a motion to approve a negative determination of environmental significance.
Brad, one,
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, so I don't see Rebecca back online there, so I would accept a motion to close the public hearing.
she's in the waiting room too.
Oh, yeah, please let her in. Yeah, let's see if she has some. She has a comment. Rebecca, would you like to make a comment? We saw that your hand was up. All right, well, maybe that was a mistaken hand that was raised. All right, Rebecca, I see your hands up. Oh. Down. All right, last chance, Rebecca. We would love to hear your comment if you have one. You just have to unmute yourself. Is she on mute? All right, can you try to unmute now? No. All right. All right, I would accept a motion to close the public comment. The public hearing. For the Gales 2-lot land subdivision.
I'll move to close the
Right.
hearing.
Could I get a second? Rebecca? Yep. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, that moves us on to planning board resolution number 2023-022. A resolution of final subdivision approval of the Gales 2-lot land subdivision located at 40XX Jacksonville Road. Tax parcel 26.-3-11.3. Whereas the planning board finds following. There are 8 points that you've had a chance to read. Now therefore, the planning board resolves the following. The planning board hereby grants final subdivision approval for the proposed minor subdivision as described above and is shown on the map noted above. I would accept a motion to approve that resolution.
Make a motion to approve.
Thank you, Linda.
Resolution.
I'll second.
Mo, all right, all in favor? Any discussion? All in favor? Aye,
Aye.
excellent. All right, thank you. Now you can go.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. And we'll get you those signed resolutions in a matter of days. Thank you. All right. All right, now I lost the old email that had my agenda on it, so hold on. I kind of miss when things were printed. All right, here we go. All right, so new business items. We have first off, the Van Noble Smokehouse Project sketch plat review. So I take it the applicant's present?
Yeah.
All right, come on forward, tell us a little bit about your project.
We're not exactly sure how much detail to bring today, so did put together a short PowerPoint and could share the screen if you want. It's not like it's very simple. It's not like an elaborate.
Sure. Yeah, I mean,
Um,
there will be a chance for you to do a public hearing on this as well, but
okay, yeah, of course.
but you know, I'm all in favor.
Sure.
Yeah.
Do a dry run.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly,
Right?
yeah.
Yeah, it gives it's
Yeah.
a little bit more. You. Screen share.
So-
Behind you.
Oh,
Great,
yeah,
okay.
yep. Yeah,
Oh, wow.
if you wanna turn the podium a little, just watch this cord, not that way, go the other way.
Yeah.
You know?
All right. Thank you guys for having me. I'm Devin Van Noble, and I own Van Noble Farm located in Trumansburg, not the town of Ulysses, the town of Enfield, but.
Hold on. It's, oh, no, never mind. Go ahead,
Yeah,
you
no,
keep talking,
yeah,
sorry.
yeah. I didn't mean to confuse things.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I guess background is, we launched our farm in 2012, been operating a bit of pastured hogs, and at first it was a wholesale operation selling directly to the piggery farm. And at some point we had to kind of change things up and become more of a retail focused business. Started diving into the catering world and really developing that into our operation. And in 2020, we started expanding the butchering end of things and having processing equipment and packaged products as well. So we've kind of got a multi-pronged operation right now. We've got a fully functioning farm operation where we raise all the pigs, and that's what's in Enfield. And then we have a commercial kitchen on the farm there where we do our processing and our catering from. And then we have a retail store in the DeWitt Mall downtown. And that's kind of like the full circle picture of our operation at this point. But we are eager to kind of expand each of those pieces in various ways. And that's what this project is all about. So don't need to overwhelm me with, the feeling stuff, but figured I'd give a little background.
It was great.
Yeah, we're into education, we're community oriented operation. We try to use our farm as a way to to build networks, to increase food resilience for our community and to educate the next generation. These are some of the kinds of ways we look at food, and I hope we will be working with the town in coordination to kind of create a more robust food system going forward. I mean, as a farmer, I'm involved with a lot of different conversations in Tompkins County around farming and food access. And, I'm not super familiar with what's going on in the heart of Ulysses here, but I want to continue to be a part of that and grow into that and, understand who's in need of food here in Trumansburg and Ulysses specifically. And so this operation is, it is a business. We're a profit-based business, and we do fine. And our catering operation is what really carries this, keeps us in the black at the moment. But we, have a lot of heart and soul into just feeding people. And that's why we highlight butchered products and our packaged products is like our avenue to, to connect with everyday eaters. So that's a really important part of this process, this business, and so I don't want anybody to walk away feeling like we're just a catering operation. Here's a little bit of the gist of, I think you guys already know, Development District 3. It's one of these state kind of legislated development districts. I'm not totally clear on the processes and the legislation surrounding that, and maybe you guys have gotten a little more detail on that. But from my understanding, anyways, there's a little lack of clarity on what the process is for changing the uses within a development district. So we want to move from what is currently allowed as a mobile trailer and bar, which were the historic uses of the Bar Angus building. And we want to open those uses up to butchering, catering, retail storefront, and event space. So those are the eventual uses that we would like to see included in this development district, and that's why we're coming to you guys to make that happen. I think you guys, do you have these plans already? And hopefully in detail.
Yeah,
You have the floor
Yeah,
plan
we
there.
do, yeah.
Um,
It's in their application materials.
so.
Yeah.
I don't need to bury you in this or anything, but just to give you a little bit of an idea of what's going on is, the top building picture, the elevation there is the side view from Route 96. Of course, it's unfinished. We're still working on exactly what we'll be deciding for the remainder of the building. The plan is that darker, the purplish color is gonna be a metal, so metal roofing, a metal kind of wainscoting on the bottom, and then wood siding above that. Kind of along the lines of a wood barn, but not exactly. So that would most likely continue across the whole side on the 96 side of the building. And then the other view down below is what you would see when you're heading north, walking out of the parking lot towards the building. And so that's the main entrance, and then on the left is like it's a patio space. It's not really flushed out there yet, but so you'd walk in those double doors, would be a retail space when you first walk in. And then everything in the back, if you can kind of see the upper side of that green drawing. The middle room is a kitchen. The back two rooms are cutting rooms and packaging rooms for butchered products. And then there's a major loading dock at the very end of the building, the north side. So, there's a lot of different functions going on in this building, and it would serve the purposes of all of our different locations currently, other than the farm. Obviously, we keep farming it where we are. But we would close our Do It Mall location and make this our retail store. We would have more on-site events. Currently, all our catering is done off-site at other locations and venues across all of Central New York, just like right here in Turnsburg or Tompkins County. We stretch from Canandaigua to Syracuse and even down to Pennsylvania. So we're catering pretty broadly. And yeah, anyways, this will continue to serve all those purposes. Just to give you some visuals of what our operation currently looks like.
Yeah, you trying to make us hungry?
Yeah,
Is that the point?
If you're gonna do that, you gotta bring.
Gotta work what I can here. Yeah, so again, like this is what some of our packaged products look like. This is our freezers down at the mall. We obviously have more and more of this kind of thing. We have several butcher cases in the new storefront. You'd be able to pick up a sandwich there. Yeah, so gives you a rough idea. As you can see in the introduction that I sent to Caitlin and to Carissa here, I gave a little bit more detail as to roughly the hours and the type of food service that we try to be offering. But it would be small at first in terms of like the amount of hours and days of the week that would be open to have patio service, but with the goal of growing that into potentially like a 5-day a week food operation. And yeah, I don't need to bore you with much more than that, but I just wanted to give our rundown of it and then hear your questions about it.
Yeah, great, thank you.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to just sort of frame this this project in front of us. So you've all had a chance to read the memo. We are looking to see, so this is in an existing development district for Bar Angus.
Yeah, number 3 used to be number 7.
And so we need to determine if this project would require us to ask the town board to make amendments to that development district, or if this project falls within the parameters that are already laid out by that development district. So if we need to ask the town board to make an amendment, then that's one thing to do. And if we feel like we don't, then the next step would be to ask for, what other additional materials we want and to schedule a public hearing.
I guess one of the questions is what falls under the Board of Health and versus what we do, like with a butchering operation. Yeah, what?
In terms of permitting and stuff.
Yeah, what do they take care of? And what?
So I guess there's separate issues. I mean, like the uses within the zone is one issue. I certainly will have a license from the Department of Health. It would be a food service establishment permit. And the way it works and the way we operate currently is that because 50% or more of our gross revenues are from hot food businesses, or hot food business. We are licensed by the Department of Health instead of Ag and Markets. If we had more than 50% of our products being packaged products that were sold and frozen, then we would be licensed by Ag and Markets. So we're going to continue because far and away, the majority of our income is from catering. At least at this point, goal is to grow that, but we're definitely gonna continue to be a Department of Health licensed food service establishment.
So you're, okay, rather than a farm.
Yeah, no, we're past farm exemptions or anything like that at this point.
Yeah.
We're a health department certified food service establishment, and then eventually we will become a USDA licensed processor. And that's our long-term goal with this space. That's a completely different license and level of license because it's obviously it allows a lot more flexibility in the marketing of products.
It's not considered part of food preparation. You can actually,
There would be
butcher it
at
and
that
then-
point, there would be two
Okay.
separate licenses. There would be a USDA license to manage the butchering end of the operation, and then there would be a Department of Health license that's still maintained on the food service side of things.
okay,
Can I just say something real quick that I think, I worked with Devin on this a little bit and I just noticed that butchering and slaughtering are different things. He
Yeah,
doesn't do slaughtering, which is the actual.
good clarification.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
yeah.
Right.
The butchering is, there's two processes. Slaughtering is the gross part, right? The killing, obviously, but also the gutting and the contaminated sides. So that's the really gross side of the business, and that's really regulated heavily.
Yeah,
We're just doing the secondary portion of that process. We're just taking carcasses and breaking them down into meat.
okay, so the waste is totally different.
It's it's very.
Right.
So you
So
do the
all the-
slaughtering at the Enfield?
No,
location?
all the slaughtering happens over in Penn Yan at a USDA slaughter facility,
Okay,
and that's just like basics. You can't sell an animal that you haven't.
So you're just bringing in the carcass and cutting it.
Yeah, and that's what we currently do. It's the same model. We currently use like a walk-in freezer at our farm as well as a downtown walk-in freezer. We have many carcasses and primals hanging out, waiting for processing, and yeah.
Rich,
Well, this is, shouldn't you determine whether this should go before the town board before you really get into it?
no, this is helping us determine that,
To
and I'm gonna,
determine
yeah,
that,
I
yeah.
appreciate that comment, but. So
Yeah.
what Development District 3 permit right now is, this is, allowed uses. The purposes for which this district may be used are as follows, A, bar and restaurant, and then C is mobile home. I mean, B is mobile home, C is second mobile home. D is, other mobile home, and so I see the bar and restaurant portion.
Right.
The restaurant portion is what I see as fitting in here. That's kind of why I wanted to hear more
And
too
if
about what. they
And
do.
if the butchering were part of food preparation, then you could consider it restaurant,
Mm,
but otherwise it's not.
Well, here, I'm hearing it's regulated by
USDA.
not.
What I would say if I was to
Yeah.
find this, I would say like, as we currently operate.
Yeah.
We could arguably consider butchering part of food service establishment. Long term, that's not what we wanna be. We wanna be a processor. We're a manufacturer. We're going to be operating on a large scale and we don't wanna be restricted by the zone in the future.
In that case, I would say you would need an amendment,
Yeah.
I-
because that's not a bar or a restaurant.
I fully agree with that, and so I'm not scared off by that. I want you guys to go down that road because I don't wanna encounter any trouble.
You don't
down the
wanna-
road.
Yeah, down the road, you're like, I wanna grow, and we're like,
Yeah.
you gotta, go in front of the town board now, you'd rather get that out of the way
Exactly, yeah,
first and see if that would be approved.
Totally, and on that note, I guess like there's also some additional aspects to the project, including our stuff, it's not that huge, but an event tent that we put up,
Yeah.
similarly.
Yeah.
A small like overflow parking lot and like a shed for storage that we would want to include on this.
Right.
To make sure that we're not gonna ruffle any feathers down the road when we go to try to do, some basics to get the project going.
Yeah. I mean, to me, I'm hearing that this needs to go in front of the town board,
Yeah.
because a processing facility is not what's permitted in this development district.
Right.
Um,
Yeah. I don't think that 10 would be a violation of it
I don't think so either.
either. I think it's just the food process.
Yeah,
Butchering
because
aspect of
it's like you said, you want to grow into a larger scale processing that sounds
However-
like it has different facilities than a restaurant.
Yeah.
However, it does bring up the question that the ongoing question we're having about, you did talk about having entertainment in the outdoor facility,
Sure.
and we're having problems with that now that I think should be in front of the board to deal with,
Mhm.
because you know, the way you're catering now and go to different places, the music goes with you to different places. You
Sure,
bother
yeah.
different places. If you're in a single location and you're always having music
You have a regularity to
There.
it, yeah.
and
I
it's
get
in a tent and it's open and
Mhm.
it's shared with the world.
No, totally, I understand.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's the kind of stuff I'd love to get locked in before we
Yeah.
move forward.
Yeah,
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 Okay, and then also the issue of, so the development district requires that one of those mobile homes go after the former owners passed away.
right.
So another note to point out about the process here, I've submitted 2 incomplete applications, but the sketch plat application I submitted is for the subdivision of that single wide trailer that's on the back. There's one vacant, dilapidated single wide that's in the front next to the building. And there is the operational, lived in single wide that's being rented on the backside of the property. That is what's gonna be subdivided, 2.901 acre subdivision. And the remaining 8.901 or whatever it is gonna be redeveloped for this building. So the 2012 Trumansburg Road will no longer need the designation of mobile trailer site.
Oh,
there
because
won't
you're
be-
subdividing it. out.
Yeah, and there won't be
Okay.
any, I don't have any intent of putting a mobile trailer on it. I mean, if we wanna leave it in there, that's fine with me, but I don't think it's necessary either.
No, the
So what's the-
intent,
Wait a minute, but what's the order then? Does he do a subdivision first? No, he's gotta know whether or not he's gonna get the development district.
I think that makes the
Oh,
most
yes,
sense.
yes, okay.
Yeah,
And then are you accounting for in your space, because I'm noticing where like the FEMA floodplain is, that all the additional space you'll need is covered. In other words, because if you're gonna come back and say, oh, we need a whole nother building, we wanted to kind of know that now. So, because you're obviously a very good long-term thinker, and that was a great presentation.
Oh, thanks.
Very professional,
Um,
but so,
no other buildings I can envision right now, other than this like shed style, maybe slightly larger than the shed, like a garage style thing that would be for storage.
so,
No electricity, just solar lights, that kind of thing.
Right.
That's the only other building I can envision at this point. This is gonna be a very, very expensive and substantial building already, so I'm hoping that this is kind of a one and done situation.
okay, and then be thinking about stormwater, because you have,
Yeah.
I don't. Want you coming back and saying, oh, our stormwater's going to these wetlands or these streams, so be
Totally.
thinking ahead about what you're gonna do with that.
So that was another one of the questions I had, after looking through this was, it says conceptual stormwater plan on the checklist, and I'm curious, does that mean engineered stormwater plan, or does that mean I can draw up a concept and we can work through it together?
As long as you know you have enough space to do it for the number of people you're talking about coming, because it's a weird shaped parcel, right? There's a kind of wetlandish thing up top, and right, so you're gonna have to put it somewhere, and then you're gonna have to have a drainage field from it, so, and you'll have setbacks, so it's like. Where are you thinking you're gonna put this?
Mhm.
Do we have enough space to accommodate, especially with entertainment and more people present? Make sure that you're gonna have the space to do the things. We don't require you to come in with a stormwater plan now,
Great.
a septic system plan or anything, but. Make sure you're gonna be able to do it.
Sure,
Okay.
we have the septic plan engineered already, and that was done formally, and that's Cheryl's, or been overlaid on top of our survey at this
Okay.
point, so that's reflected. But the stormwater management part wasn't, we didn't anticipate that yet, so we'll do some homework on that, and I guess get you a concept before the next meeting.
I would also have, that would be great.
Yeah.
You have a tent, a proposed tent. And when I see tent and I think music, I think events, and I don't think you have enough parking. I don't think you have room for enough parking.
So.
That's my concern.
Yeah, that's fine. I think we do. So the up top parking lot area that's currently, it was a bunch of fill that was been dropped there, I guess, by the highway departments over the years.
Hmm.
But it's been basically leveled out that whole southern, southeastern corner of the property. So right along 96.
Yeah.
That whole upper side is graded out,
Yeah.
flat. It's like basically
Yeah.
ready to go. Which is the first 150 feet of that is what we've designated currently as a parking
Yeah.
lot. but there's much more space to go on from there down the road.
Without,
There's-
running into the buffer near the creek.
I don't think so. Yeah, I would have to measure out some square footage or, yeah, some linear feet with Cheryl, but I'm pretty sure there's at least double what we've, do you have any?
We will have to look at the creek, I haven't looked.
Yeah, there's a substantial amount of additional space there. And also we were talking about having this overflow parking space directly across from the beauty barn on Halseyville. That would be adjacent to the tent, and that would be like ADA parking and that kind
I
of stuff.
saw that, yeah. Okay.
So that would be like the, for parking for people that need to get very close to the tent easily, and then the main parking lot would be up in the top.
Okay, and that spot for the overflow, how many spots are you anticipating?
We anticipating, I would say, in my head, I'm thinking something in the neighborhood of 10 to 20 spots. And on the upper parking lot, I don't know, what do you think we put in the upper parking lot?
There's 15 now, and I think I have room for 12 more.
Yeah,
But I
roughly
understand
30 in
the
the
buffer, I
upper
have-
lot. Yeah.
So, yeah,
Okay.
But we did have this driveway double loaded. But then when the survey came back, the
yeah, the right of way really screwed
took
us.
it off.
Yeah, so you had parking on both sides? and the
Yeah,
right way was like-
Cause 96 is now, the right of way comes back like, not even to the edge of the road, it comes like 15 feet into the property that we
Yeah.
thought was part of our property. So we made a lot of plans based on that
Yes.
being part of the property, and then
Got
the survey came back saying that that's not,
Yeah, okay.
included.
Okay.
So
Which we
we,
assumed is that you can't put parking there. I think
if it's a right of way, could you get permission from New York State to?
I don't know the answer to
So. In theory, that's where like the town can put a ditch, get access to electrical lines, trash pickup, all that is kind of like. Yes, you pay for it, you own it, but technically they manage it to, I don't think, I've never heard of somebody getting permission then to put like parking in that area, right?
I know I got permission from NYSEG through a NYSEG easement before to put up some fencing. And it had to go through their legal team, but they did approve that eventually, and I'm curious if that might be the same
Yeah.
case, but.
I also
Maybe
wonder
from the
too,
substitute in
if
winter,
it's,
Right.
yeah,
So
and I
it's-
wonder too if it's like, an impermeable versus permeable surface, right?
Yeah.
Like if it was gravel versus pavement, you could dig it up to put in a power line or a ditch if you needed to.
Well,
Yeah.
she just mentioned like in the winter when they plow,
That is
that's
true.
where they plow, right?
Yeah.
I mean.
Oh, there would
so-
still be, a, even based on the initial drawings, there was still a buffer between the ditch area and our actual parking zone. The property line came actually even further from the ditch edge into the property than we had, I guess, originally imagined. So, yeah, we'll do some homework on the
Yeah.
parking situation. I think with,
It's a good idea though to really kind of dial in the number of spaces that you want.
yeah,
Yeah,
and yeah, like there's 9 acres total there. I think, and a good part of it is in wetlands on the north
Yeah.
side, but yeah, I think there's enough space that we can accommodate.
Okay. And then you're waiting on the 239 to come back from the county, so you haven't received that.
239, what
That's,
is that? County review.
yeah,
Okay, I didn't even know about that.
they usually make recommendations about lighting, things like that.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, because well, I was at least a little unsure about exactly what the rules, the parameters of the lighting rules we were playing within. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's certain kinds of lighting that's preferable because it's, it's sort of downcast, it makes it not so much light pollution in the sky.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead.
yeah, the other thing I was thinking of too is, it would be architecturally, would be good. It sounded like you were attempting to look like a barn, is that correct? Okay,
yeah, along the lines like rustic
Mhm.
varnish and
yeah,
along, you can see the interior, these are the colors and kind of
yeah.
scheme you're gonna be looking at within the interior eventually, but.
I know,
So,
when I looked at the, just for the board, because of our other architectural issues. When I looked at the drawing, it looked a lot like the Dollar General.
yeah.
Picture,
It-
so.
Yeah,
was
we'll
like,
try to
okay,
scoop it out. And
Yeah.
We don't want
definitely-
to, yeah,
We're planning for, some really nice landscaping along the 96 edge of things, and some of the pine trees that are behind the barn just currently will remain there.
Yeah.
Not all, but some will remain, and yeah, definitely have plans to be like generally landscaping the space because we wanna see it, you know, populated.
So,
yeah, right. Yeah.
when I hear you say that you want to, increase your capacity for, processing.
Mhm,
And I'm looking at this very well laid out, schematic of the existing building with like a packaging room, a cut room, utility room.
mhm.
All these things I've never heard of, like a grinder and a stuffer.
Yeah,
Heard of the smoker and the bandsaw, but would you anticipate is your expansion gonna happen within this schematic that you've drawn, or is the
Yes.
expansion in
no,
addition
this
that
is
you plan to do
expanded.
later?
This is a very sizable production space.
Yeah.
Wow.
And yeah, I guess you all might recall like how much production the piggery used to do, for example, right? They probably operated in, I wanna say, like 60 to 70% of the space.
Uh-huh.
They didn't even have as much square footage as this is gonna have.
Right.
And yeah, so we just have like substantial walk-in cooler freezers. The loading dock aspect is a major piece of the puzzle here, because a lot of the problem with our butchering operation is it's lifting heavy carcasses up and down and lifting pallets of meat up and down. So the loading dock is gonna relieve a lot of the pressure on our staff and myself to and Katie to lift things up and down. But yeah, so this is the expansion version. You can see there's a slightly shaded out section that is for an additional walk-in cooler freezer that was originally drawn into the building as is, but we're not gonna be able to afford it right off the bat.
Okay.
So we're holding on that piece of it, but it's not really divergent from the rest of the project. It's not expansion, it's just filling.
So you've convinced me that you're very thorough and professional about how you do things, so this is probably moot, but I'm curious. You're gonna have a lot of butcher waste, which obviously no one's smelling, or, I mean, you're, especially with all the clientele you participate having in entertainment. So how do you deal with that? Do you have a typical big, what are those, big metal container in the back, you just throw it in, or do you have to have?
It's a mixed thing. So some food waste will go into the trash can in the dumpster, and that definitely has a smell. And you try to cut down on that by making sure as many of the liquids and fats go into a rendering barrel.
Yep.
Unfortunately, right now, the rendering company that's locally available isn't able to come pick up at my place anymore because they've determined basically not big enough. So we don't make enough waste for them.
Wow.
And there's no other option. So we are now like composting our own, throwing it in the dumpster, that kind of stuff. But at this facility, there'll be plenty of barrels for them. They'll come pick it up. And so as much of the gross stuff as possible, the rotting meats, the bloods, all that will be going. Well, some of the blood will go down the drain, of course, those floor drains in these rooms. So we're talking about like spray down rooms. Very, professional, like what you would imagine in a professional butcher shop.
What kind of dumpsters are you gonna use? The only reason I ask is because of wildlife.
Yeah, I'm like talking roll off Casella dumpsters.
So they're open.
They could be open on the top, and the idea that the only thing that's worked for me is having them picked up regularly, meaning like every couple days.
Well, even a couple of days, well, a lot of wildlife is gonna be.
Seagulls, crows,
true.
raccoons, rats.
Right.
The
yeah.
initial location we're talking about, putting the dumpsters would be next to this loading dock here, in this kind of shaded off area, definitely undercover. Well aware of, the wildlife possibilities, but I think we'll be okay if we're just dealing with it regularly.
Is there any other type of dumpster you can use that's sealed?
Yeah,
Because I do know they make them.
They probably do, I don't know, I haven't seen
I've
it.
seen them. There's
Yeah.
one at T-Bird High right now.
Okay,
Yeah.
Drive
Because
over.
that's probably
check
what
it
we
out.
would
Yeah.
want you to have because of the wildlife. That's
Okay.
the only reason.
Rich, you
I'm
got,
just saying, this is all great, but it's obviously gonna come.
We know. we're
But
curious.
my guess, my strong guess and recommendation would be that we give it back to you to do your work on it.
Wait, you mean,
Just like we did with the inn,
Yeah.
Right,
we're gonna send it back to you, because you have more expertise than we do.
Yeah.
But because of the development district, the town board has to get involved.
yeah,
right.
Uh-huh.
We agree. Yeah.
I like,
This
this,
is just-
we like them to have as much information, because he could come out today, and say, you know what? Maybe we need to rethink
Right.
this, and
Yeah.
not even wanna go with you, because if we say, oh, your parking is just too limited, and you're not going to your entertainment and everything dominates from there. So we realize all this will go again after you make a decision, but he has to make a decision, and we're asking the same questions we're gonna ask. So that way you're informed going into this, you're not like, well, what the heck, you should ask me.
No,
I think that's a great question about the dumpster, because that's something to think about with
Sure.
the birds, wildlife, and. I guess my other question along those lines is, you know, you have the truck entry here, sort of what size trucks are you looking at? And how often are you having trucks come?
So, gosh, how do I answer that? You know, we have produce deliveries. What, 2 or 3 times a week during the high season at least, so there's a truck for each of those deliveries. And then in terms of, you know, it's a little hard to nail down numbers and times regularity of the meat end of things because it's a growing piece of the operation. Right now, I would try to give you a ballpark.
Well,
I would say like a truck is coming once a month, maybe
Right.
for pigs or something of that nature.
by New York State regulations, if you're having like a box truck come in or any type of truck, it has to be able to pull in and then back into your loading dock. So you have to make accommodations for that.
Oh, yeah.
They
these are
cannot
gonna be
back- yeah, they can't
52,
back in.
60-inch loading docks. They're gonna be full-size tractor trailer loading docks.
Right, well, they have to be able to pull in and then back up to your dock. They cannot back into your dock from the road.
Oh, yes, that is true. Yeah, so
That's a requirement by New York State, especially on
can't- so-
96.
you're sure about that?
Yes.
They can't pull forward on the road and then back off the
Nope.
road.
They have to pull in and then back up. They have to be off the road when they back
Which is
into your
hilarious
loading
because they go
dock.
to other businesses where they just park in the middle of the street and then don't give a.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, well,
like, that's great.
They do that, but if you look at the regulations.
I get you, I hear you. So we've accommodated. I think that's gonna be totally fine. We've come. Yeah, there's not enough extra space on here for me to show you, but in north of the loading dock there, we went and staked out what the full length of a tractor trailer would have been. And we were imagining them pulling forward, then backing off the road, then pulling forward again, and then backing off, but it doesn't seem any different than them pulling in the first driveway, pulling all the way to the end of that, and then backing up to our loading dock.
Yeah.
Right.
There's enough length there.
As long as they don't stop on the road and back
I
in.
gotcha. Yeah, no, I think that's not gonna be an
Okay.
issue either. The building's far enough south that it's gonna have enough space for that.
So,
These are just things we want to tell you now
Yeah.
before
Oh, great, I
you
love it.
come back.
Goals.
So
are
what's
are
really
there
great
any,
is,
I mean,
yeah,
are there
Or-
any other, go ahead. sorry.
yeah, just what's really great is to have the facility, the
Yeah.
building
Yeah,
taken
Yeah.
care of.
I'd
oh,
like-
yeah, that's,
So-
yeah,
So
we're ready.
consistent with the
Yeah,
comp plan
I'd-
and everything.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I'd like to send this to the town board. I just want to ask, you know, is there anything else, looking at the materials that are provided, is there anything else that you would want? Say, you know, and next time you come back, I'd really like to be able to see this.
Hmm.
I mean, I feel like it's thorough. There's the wetlands piece there, although the wetlands piece I'm seeing is, it's a highlighted map and I'm just wondering where was that sourced from?
Where are you seeing the wetlands?
Yeah.
The wetlands piece
Well, there's a stream
is.
on the
On
south
the
side.
south side, but the
Yeah,
north
yeah.
side, are we talking about the
Yep,
north?
yeah,
Wait, But on the
yeah,
south side, Niels, how did you come up with the FEMA zone? Because that's one piece I didn't get enough info on, the FEMA zone. I mean, you're not, there's
Yeah.
all kind of restrictions on what you can do.
Yeah.
Did you see the photo with the FEMA zone?
so
No.
it's this photo right here, I'm gonna let you come look at it.
So the
Yeah.
FEMA for maps are,
Oh, yeah, so we're not touching
Yeah,
any
no,
of
you're
that,
getting
right?
photo.
Stop to the south part.
Yeah,
You're not looking at it. It's go to the south part where it says flood FEMA zone A.
perennial stream associated buffer here.
Look at it out.
Locally designated
Yeah,
wetland.
some of that's off the property though.
Yeah, I see that.
It's
Here's
this
the-
one.
Which one?
All right,
Oh,
so that's zone.
Flood
A.
hazard,
Yep, flood hazard
Yeah.
zone A,
that's.
and I
that's-
haven't had a chance to check on what the requirements are.
I mean, that seems quite a ways away from the.
Are you looking at that? one?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah,
yeah, I'm just making sure that he's, thinking about what he's gonna do, and he was not
Yeah.
limited there.
yeah,
No, we're not gonna mess with that end of the
Okay,
property so much.
Yeah.
And that probably would just be, extra
Yeah.
space for drainage.
yeah.
I have one other
We did
question.
not produce those drawings.
What's that?
We did not produce.
No,
those.
Niels gave them to
Okay.
us. Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you.
We didn't
Um,
produce that.
I thought I did, but if not, I'll make sure I send those to you.
All right.
Um,
I have one question for you. On the retail section, I see the parking lot, so the retail section is where the patio is.
Yeah, so you walk in, yep, go ahead.
Okay, I'm not sure, but we have to check. I believe that also state regulations require in front of any of the retail area, a 30-foot opening for fire trucks. So like a parking lot in front, so that if there's ever a fire, the fire truck can come up to the front of the building.
I think that's accounted for in the,
Well, just if you have an architect doing this, he should be aware of that. He probably knows, but I believe that's a requirement, so
Okay.
just something for you to think about.
okay, yeah, I'm not exactly
I-
clear
I'm-
with what you're saying.
I'm
but-
seeing it here. There's 50 feet. It shows on the map between the
But it doesn't
parking.
show a driveway, it just shows the driveway going to the parking, but nothing in front of the building, but a patio.
Yeah, so I think what's not obvious, maybe, and maybe it has to be delineated on there, is it's all pretty much driveway in that section, it's all hard packed around. all-
Oh, it is, okay, yeah,
Yeah.
that's what you need, because if
Totally.
it was grass there, then the
Yeah,
fire
no,
truck couldn't get up to
No,
the building.
exactly, I understand what you're saying.
Okay.
I think it'll be, yeah, it'll be taken care of.
Okay.
We can draw it on.
We can look up the specs on the fire truck requirement.
Okay,
So-
just something to do now than to think
Yeah.
about it later.
So I would like to move to send this to the town board for, consideration of a zoning amendment to this development district. And I would like to include in the language, a zoning amendment to accommodate and what is it called that you're doing? Like,
The building or the. whole
you call
project
it a
or
processing
Uh,
facility?
yeah, I would say butchering, catering, events and retail are the four pieces of.
Does retail cover restaurant?
To me, when I say retail, I mean specifically a retail store, like a store where you're buying items and goods, not. Retail can also refer to hot food, but when I say that, I mean, I'm talking more like grocery store setting.
Right,
But you
okay.
did
I
say
asked-
sandwiches at one point,
Yep,
Right, so
we'll
that would-
have those too.
so that would be considered a restaurant.
Well, yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, I asked because you have, it says in here, you have a place for 32 place settings, right?
Mhm.
So. That to me says restaurant.
It is,
I'm just saying that, so if you put that in your list, then it's very clear to the board, this is what I
Yeah,
want to do.
yeah, it's restaurant, okay,
Yeah,
get clear about that for sure.
So does somebody want to make a motion to,
Yeah, I'll make.
Can I ask a quick thing
Yeah.
for you about landscaping? You guys
Yeah.
foresee asking for more trees or?
yeah,
or-
we'll do like a site plan review and sort of that's when you present your drawings of what it's gonna look like. Cause that's one of the things that we need to consider. So that's where you would have, landscaping within that. I mean, you had mentioned wanting to make it look nice because you want to attract customers. That typically involves some kind of planting around the front, or some
Yeah.
kind of planting that may, break up the look of the parking lot. Those are kinds of plantings that we appreciate. I think they
Old
help.
maples and oaks.
Yeah, like, I think if you're working with an architect and, a
Not
designer.
limited because of how much
Right.
has to go along there. We'd
Yeah.
like to do lots of trees, but I just.
I know.
We have to pick and choose a little bit because of like the trucks and.
No, it's great. It's a great question to ask. And
Right.
let's just put it this way, like, yeah, you can have a big parking area and if you are able to plant, salt resistant bushes in
Yeah.
key areas, it kind of breaks up the view a little bit, so it doesn't look quite as big. That's encouraged. There's also, you've got all these spots right in a row. Well, maybe you make it a touch longer and you put something between two of those spots
Yeah,
with some shrubs in there that
Yeah.
creates a bit of a view instead of just like boom, 15
Totally.
spots. So those are things that we encourage. I mean, I see that you have some plantings along the front here in this picture.
yeah.
I mean, I don't see needing much. more.
I would suggest you look at, especially for parking, 212-121 in our zoning,
Okay,
has everything to do with parking. And it has to do with the loading docks and all of that. You'll find that you have to put landscaping because you're in a public area.
mhm,
People across the street, they don't want to see the trucks.
yes,
So there has to be tree line of some sort of bushes or whatever.
Yeah,
But you'll see that, look at that particular zoning.
okay.
So I would accept a motion to
I
send
made the
this,
motion.
well, I just wanna delineate a little bit,
Oh,
send this to the
okay.
planning board for a zoning amendment that would include. Restaurant, butchering, catering, events and retail in the
And
development
restaurant.
district 3. And
And
restaurant,
restaurant.
yes. You made a motion for that, and
I'll second.
second, Linda, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 One follow-up request, would this be an appropriate time to also request that the new subdivision also gets a change of use to allow for single-family home down the road? For the potential that we want to get rid of this mobile trailer, have a single-family home built there. I'd like to get that taken care of now while we're in this process.
Oh, you mean on the
Yeah.
subdivision?
Yeah, on
The
the subdivision.
subdivision,
That has nothing to do with us.
Well, let's see, I think it might
that
actually,
would even be demolishing.
because it's part of the,
Yeah.
it's part of, and so right now, that piece of land is part of Development District 3. So when we subdivide it, it'll no longer be part of that district.
And that's when it would
So,
go to.
yeah,
request
then
it.
it would just be, have to comply with the rest of the rules.
Yeah,
And
then-
everything will start from-
That's my understanding.
Because it'll be different zoning, it'll be R. right?
Yeah, that's the question. Does it
That-
revert back to the surrounding zone or
I'm
does
gonna
it?
ask Niels that question.
It's not clear, either under local law or state law, but my presumption it would be that the town board should make the direction that it get rezoned back to AR.
Okay.
So
Okay.
I
Is
have a
that the
concern about.
agricultural residence zone or something?
Right, but I have a concern about that, because the reality is, you put a home right this close to butchering, and all. It's not gonna, it's gonna have, think about it, let's think about, well, who's gonna wanna live right there, right? So. To me, it would be better if you say, all right, we'll make it another business, instead of saying, you're gonna put a house there, that somebody's gonna live there, but.
But that's
I mean-
basically been the nature of it so far.
Yeah.
And it's like hundreds of feet away from this building. I mean, we're not talking it's proximate, it's within the view.
It's
shed.
not that
Okay.
close.
It's
Yeah,
not
it's
that
not-
close.
Yeah.
But you don't think all the event, all the noise, the trash, the trucks coming in, it's gonna affect the value of the property and how it can function as a
I think it's
healthy
gonna make the
home.
property value go up
You think it'll be a healthy home there, like having
100%.
kids?
It is.
We are
set
gonna be
for-
very respectful of all our neighbors. I'm
Yeah.
very good friends with Paul Carpenter across the street. Like I would actually like to see my mother living in this house eventually, so
Oh,
for
okay.
sure, I'm trying to take care of the nature of the house and yeah,
You
would not be.
don't look it off.
So,
Yeah, that's nice, okay.
so
Okay.
I
Okay.
think to make a resolution to send that. To
Okay.
this, the proposed I would accept a motion to send the proposed subdivision to the town board for rezoning to an agricultural residential zone.
I'll make the motion.
Second. Alright, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Alright,
Great.
that is it for
Thank you,
for
guys.
now. Yes, thank you.
You were
It's-
so well organized.
Yeah,
Oh,
great
That
presentation.
was-
Nervous for
Very
hours
well.
before.
Yeah, you set it up a high standard.
Thank
And just to
Very
let
nice.
you know the process, I mean, it may be apparent abundantly clear, but the town board will get this, they will, they'll send it back. To us to make, recommendations about what they should do, it'll go back to them, they'll vote on it. And if it gets approved, then it'll come back to us and we may do another sketch plan review, although. Not to say, but we'll have to schedule a public hearing.
Yep.
And so that, is a great time to have your PowerPoint, love that.
Yep.
And this is a dry run. essentially.
And just in terms of timing, so I can tell the bankers and everybody else, is it gonna be a month before the town board sees this, or is it 2 weeks?
Next Tuesday, so if you could get it on the agenda for next Tuesday, we could then.
I like that.
Yeah.
Great.
And we
Okay.
can we'll put it on the agenda, it'll come from us, he doesn't have to do anything, right? Okay.
No, if one of you is there to represent you, why you talk about
Can it come from, I mean, just as
it. He's usually not.
not present, but okay, you need somebody present,
Well,
I can be there. I
Yeah.
can be there.
Okay.
if you want.
Sure.
Yeah, people
we'll say yes.
I usually.
I'm
Okay.
sure we're gonna just send it back to you.
But it's gotta go to you
Gotta
first,
go to
Yes.
yeah, Okay,
All right,
yeah,
sounds
and
good.
then we'll get it, so, you know, I wouldn't necessarily say a month. I would.
Yeah,
allow for it.
that's very helpful. It's enough, but yeah.
Okay,
just
you know,
an
we
idea.
meet twice a month. So.
Great.
Yeah.
We'll see you before long then.
Okay,
All right.
thank you very much.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay.
In terms of who decides whether, like this question of should, it's clear in this case, it's gotta go to the town. But is the planning board an entity itself that would decide on that merit? It doesn't seem. The planning board itself would decide. Right?
I think by looking at the code that we could decide that if it, if his, so that's why I was asking the question at the beginning, so like, does it actually fit in a restaurant? Cause if what he described fit into what's already in the zone,
Yeah,
then it'd be a waste of time to send it on, but it was obvious that it didn't, so I think we are able to make that decision. That's my
What
impression.
if it isn't?
Well, then we wouldn't see it, so we wouldn't.
Yeah,
Somebody's gotta see it.
No, that's why I'm. Another set of, I mean. Niels could see it and point it out.
Yeah.
Somebody's gotta be able to. If it's necessary to go back to the town. There's gotta be a way to. Advocate it, because the planning board is an interested party in some way.
So say his use though was, say he didn't want to do the butchering as a main percent, say he wanted to do 75% retail or restaurant.
Yeah.
I think there was enough gray area for the planning board to say, hey, this doesn't need to go back to the
yeah.
town
Right.
board.
Like if it was just a restaurant, you know, with a
It's a
small,
restaurant.
what's that?
It's inside, it's the use of the development.
Yeah,
Right, but he intends, as I understand this, to grow the butchering side of it to where it'll be
Oh,
predominantly.
that's why it has to go back.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
We all agree.
But what if it did?
Yeah,
Okay, so.
all right, well,
Right.
I think it's neither, I mean, I think Niels would see that as
Right.
well.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like there's enough here that we can see, and I think as a board chairperson, I would err on the side of caution.
Right.
And say, you know what, let's send this to the town board because it's close enough to being out of compliance, or it appears like it may be.
even though it is already classified for restaurant and
Yeah,
bar.
yeah.
So you're just adding some
Yeah.
sections to it
Yeah,
and taking away the bar
yep,
and the
Yep.
mobile homes.
Yep. all right. Well, I would like to move on to our last order of business on the agenda tonight.
No, two more, Palmer. And then you can see, I'll bring it up.
Oh, see, I had forgotten about some things I wanted to bring up.
Oh, no, it's important.
I was just
But
talking about Palmer.
I'm like,
Alright, so Palmer Garage sketch plan review, and is the applicant present tonight? Alright, so I'm just gonna read an introduction of what you have going on here. The applicant, Jeff Frederickson, on behalf of the owner, Tom Palmer, proposes to construct a new 576 square foot detached accessory building for use as a garage. Per code, Town of Ulysses, accessory buildings associated with single family residences are permitted in the LS zone, but require site plan review when within a sloped overlay area. So because you are close enough to the lake, essentially, that requires a site plan review. So come on forward and talk to us a little bit about your project, and then this is where we'll ask, you any questions, and then if there's any additional materials, we'll ask you to bring them back, and tonight we'll also schedule a public hearing for a later date.
Sure.
All right. So, and just.
Jeff Frederickson from the Ground Construction, address 176 Cortland Road in Dryden, New York. I don't know about you, but I could go for a pulled pork sandwich about right now. I'll start with pork. Yeah, we're, Niels was up, looking at the site, the other day. He recommended that I added a few more pictures. Did you guys get these additional pictures?
Yeah.
This is a great picture because it's coming right, there's a road, a gravel road that comes into Mr. Palmer's driveway or house, which is over here. And we're just gonna build it right there. As you can see, there's a garage here. And then in this picture, it's looking looking at the lake. There's a garage here and a garage on both sides of his properties. We're just, Just adding the 2-car garage for its convenience.
So wait, explain that to me. You already have 2 existing garages? You have-
those are the
there
neighbors.
other-
Neighbors.
okay,
Yeah.
just making sure.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yep.
Did you see the pictures?
yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, the map I found a little bit confusing because it shows this property boundary right by the house and garage, is that right?
Pardon?
So in this map, we're talking about this house and this garage. I'm assuming when you say you can see another one, it's that one. What is this property boundary here?
That's his neighbor's property.
Okay, so this is his
So
property.
this that building right there is the one I'm going to show you.
Okay,
Is,
okay, I see what
This
it is.
garage right here.
Yeah, okay,
Gotcha.
great, now I got you. Okay, thank you. I was unsure what I was looking at. Okay, great.
you have any questions or you saw, I gave you, saw the plans for the garage,
Yeah.
24 by 24 garage, pretty,
Yeah.
pretty standard, full foundation.
Right, so, go ahead.
Yeah, so I went to the site today too to take a look at it, because I wanted to get a
Nice.
sense of
Thank you.
the scope, or this, the drop off. And it's pretty flat in the vicinity, it's a real gradual, so there'll be some ground movement, but not.
Right, yeah, I guess the way it's zoned is when you go up above where the trees are, then it gets really steep. That must be where the steepness is on the
Right,
lot, and then it goes
Yeah.
right by the water.
right,
That area, it's all grass and, very conducive to a garage. And,
Yeah.
You know.
yeah, and there's no vegetation there
Yeah,
that they're.
yeah, just
moving,
grass, yeah.
it looks like either, so it's seemed pretty straightforward to me, other than the water. The runoff.
Yeah, so for the runoff, we plan on putting drainage tile around the garage and taking the runoff and putting it right down to the left of the house, pointing towards the lake. And we're really talking 24 foot of area that we're collecting that water, so it's not a lot. But certainly we will have that drainage ditch there, drainage tile there. For the
There's a ditch on that side of the house too.
Right, yeah, we're gonna run it right into the ditch, so if we go to daylight.
That's pre-existing ditch.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess the only thing that I would ask for is just a topo map. I didn't see one unless I missed it, but just, a topo map is a pretty standard
Yeah,
addition to an application, especially when it's in the slope zone.
Okay, well,
Yeah, I'm also curious, you're in a steep slope area. When I looked at the photos, it looked like there was some new clearing that had happened up at the edge of the photos. You kind of took it from where some clearing had occurred, and so I am concerned. This particular area may be flatter, but you're in the steep slopes and we have a lot of guidance on not cutting trees. Now,
Sure.
it's a big enough property that you have so much that's still in woods that you're definitely within it seems like the relative percentage. But I'm concerned about trees, and then you're putting a driveway. So the driveway itself, are you shooting for gravel driveway?
yes, yeah,
Okay.
and where the driveway is, there's no trees. You're right, the owner had cut a few trees out. Previous to this
Right.
project, but no, we don't need to remove any trees at all for.
Okay, so guys, I want to bring your attention to this. This is steep slope. It's a huge issue. We got to deal with this. We're going to start educating ourselves about it. People don't realize that we have rules about, go look at what's allowed in the lakeshore zone for cutting trees in the steep slope areas. It's not allowed, okay? And the reason is really important because without those roots, we have these big rains. Like your ditch, if you get one of these big rains, it's gonna start gullying. You gotta be careful. You need to think about that. So in the photos, they had cleared some trees. You actually have to have permission to do that in the steep slopes. I don't know if it was just one tree, you're allowed to do that if it may damage a building. But it's really critical. So looking at that expansive lawn to me was like, all right, it's probably grandfathered in, but they obviously did some clearing. So we needed, it's done. And what they're asking to do is legit and everything, but we gotta get a handle on this, okay?
I have a question. Sure. Could you come over here and I have the map up. I just want to know which house are we talking about?
Okay, let's see. Get over
There's
here.
Willow Creek and there's the gravel road, so which house is it?
It's to the south.
It's actually a blacktop road that comes down off.
Yeah,
That's
that's
Willow
Willow.
Creek, you need Willow Point. There's.
Oh, Willow Point.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's way bigger.
Yep.
there's Willow
But
Point.
it's not-
Sorry.
Okay, so.
You're looking at Willow Point Road, not Willow Creek Road, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't see.
Yeah.
It's up there.
Okay, thank you, I got confused at first too.
Oh, it's this one here?
Yeah. Nope, I got it,
Let's see.
thank you. No water. Here, that one up too.
So it's.
There's a garage, right? I see a garage right there.
Yeah, so, yeah, you're right, you know, it's that one.
It's
the
number
picture of the
14.
garage and that's the other garage, yeah.
Okay, yeah, this is 14 Willow Point. Is that what the house is?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so it's right back in here.
Yeah, and what she's referring to is this area of yard right there.
Right,
Yeah.
yeah, there is no trees in that particular
No,
area.
there's a lot of trees up above.
Right above, right,
Yeah.
right, okay. Okay. I always like to look at the map to make 100% sure.
Very thorough.
I'm sorry, I thought it was Willow.
So just a question about the ditch, like the drainage tile will run into the existing ditch, so you'll get some more use on that ditch. What's the ditch made of? Like, is it like bedrock or is it like riprap? Like what? Okay,
When the cottage was built years ago, they put a basement in
Thank
the
you.
lower level.
yeah,
It was all failing.
Willow always looks the same.
okay. I
And then
mean,
they dispersed that throughout the yard and threw a lot of it in the ditch.
okay, I mean, is it chunks or is it like shale? Like shale can be fine, I'm just chunks, okay.
Well, we're gonna dig a ditch and put some, pipe in there, so we'll be putting gravel around that pipe.
Yeah, I'm just
And
thinking
where
where
you
the pipe comes out into the ditch. I'm just thinking that ditch is gonna get more use. Rebecca's talking about it going in. Sure that it's got the right material in it, so
Sure.
it holds up. And so you don't also have
Good point.
a lot of soil going into the lake there either. Just
What they're probably gonna do is what's my neighbor did, they're gonna run that pipe to the edge of the property, and then we have a slight incline down to the beach, and he has his pipe trickling right down onto the beach and into the lake.
okay.
There's always.
That's almost better than going into a ditch.
Yeah.
Cause it got topsoil.
I mean, ideally, if you had a small micro pool, what's called a micro pool, like your drainage comes off and goes into like a little swale, like sometimes people put rain gardens there.
Yeah.
That absorbs the water, allows it to go underground, it builds up and then slowly goes down, and so the velocity of the point,
Sure.
like when a high intensity rain event.
Yeah.
It stops that as well, so it's the sediment, even the pollution coming off your roof of the garage.
Right.
So like a micro pool before you go into the ditch would be a good solution. Yeah, I mean, but I'm always averse to having things go straight into the lake without it being processed, so this would be a way to process some of that.
Okay, all right.
Another
Mhm.
thing that we might need is during construction. Should we have a plan for preventing erosion while you're doing the construction as well?
That's a great question. So we're planning on digging the hole and then the next day putting the concrete in the ground. So you're talking within a week, we'll be done. So, yeah, we're not gonna, it's not gonna be a long process. We do it, we'll time
But you
it.
could get rain.
Right.
Well, we'll work around, no,
Yeah.
we won't plan a week where it's raining, but.
Okay.
If you guys familiar with Daryl Frost at all?
Yeah.
Really good, best guy I've ever.
And this is sort of a natural point where you were down there,
Yeah.
where the house and that is, because the big drainage is actually to the south.
Right.
Where you cross over when you come down the road, so the big
Yeah.
water coming off the hill follows the road down, and there's a
Right.
huge ditch to the south, or huge drainage, or whatever it is to the south, that carries off the bulk of the water. And then there's another neighbor
Yeah.
to the north that pushes everything to the north that comes down, so it's just what falls on that lawn area that they're dealing with, so.
Yeah.
60 feet deep, getting up on this. Railhead.
Okay,
You said
Yeah.
8 feet.
okay. So,
So we don't
this,
think we need anything more
I mean,
substantial than that.
I don't really think that we have say over.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, we do,
done
that
that.
might, because it's a lakeshore zone and steep slopes, we definitely have influence on the drainage.
Not on the drainage, I mean on the construction.
Um,
No,
That's what
during
I'm talking about.
construction. We
So-
do, we did that,
For hay bales, like straw bales.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, or just sandbags or
Or silt,
something.
so,
yeah.
Yeah,
So
I don't
it's
know.
all-
Still curtain is the
Silt
same
I don't
thing,
know if
yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
but
Hey,
Okay.
can I ask a question?
Yeah.
So with the, great points, with the plane in the garage, like it's from corner to corner, is, if that were to run right, it would run right into the house. So it doesn't have a clear, that material doesn't have a clear
Yes,
shot to
good
go
point.
into the lake, because it's really, it would hit the house first. And-
Well,
but,
that's a good point.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
anyways, we could make preparations, in case we, they were saying no rain and like, changes, I mean. Sometimes from hour to hour, so if we got caught, yeah, we could make arrangements,
Well,
put
and that would
something
help.
down on the ground for sure.
Yeah. I
That'd be
think
great.
No problem.
And that would
at least
also
we
help the
wanted
house
To
too.
protect the house too.
True.
Sure,
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah. Okay.
I've been there when it's been raining pretty good, actually, for some reason, it's like, yeah, I haven't, like this gentleman, Morris said, it's really on the other side
Right.
where they're getting,
Yeah.
because of the roadways and
Yeah.
things. And they do have a bunch of trees, back up above there that I think is really doing what
Yep.
you want it to
Yep.
do, so, for sure, a lot of, so.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like acres.
It's like they almost wrote in the application forest, because, but where the garage is going, it's all grass, but.
Yep.
Most of it's land is
really is.
forest.
I
Yeah.
love it. I saw
Quite
that.
nice, oh, yeah.
Google Earth and yeah, it's like,
Yeah.
yep.
Yeah.
I would propose, we're looking for the topo map. We're looking for some silt mitigation during construction. We're looking for what do you call it? A
Like a
swale?
micro pool, like a rain garden, kind of a micro pool rain garden, a little
Yeah.
swale, like a bottle swale.
Prior to getting to the lake.
Yes.
So
The
you're saying
intercept-
don't run it all the way to the lake. You're
Right,
saying
intercept it before you dump it into the gully.
before it goes into the ditch.
Yeah.
Or the pipe.
Okay.
Well, the pipe's coming, yeah, it'll come down. Yeah, it could be at the end of the pipe. right?
You're talking about like heavy gravel to slow down the water.
No, I'm actually
No.
talking like a small basin that actually the water goes in there, like.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
okay.
a small, like
Is-
small rain garden.
Is that
Retention.
something that you can do or that Cross can do? I mean, do you
I'm
need
not sure if the
designs
owner
from
would
us?
want that actually,
Yeah.
because the area between his, I don't know if just for looks, I guess.
Mhm.
And if it's all gravel, and if we're entering and it's all gravel there, and we can protect it with some fabric. I don't know that,
You're talking about fabric for during construction, we're talking about afterwards, like during
Talking
big
about
rain events, like,
yeah,
Something
so
just
it
to
doesn't
capture-
wash away the gravel,
Yeah.
products I can put down. To help that,
Right.
but,
I guess what Rebecca's concerned about is where it comes out, right? Like
Yeah.
coming out directly
Out
into
of
the
the
lake or
downspout.
coming in.
Yeah.
to
went
a-
straight to the ditch. I mean,
Yeah.
it'll be a faucet, and sometimes it's gonna be an absolute faucet. Think about it, you're taking a 20 by 20 square foot roof, you get a 2 inch rain that day, and it is coming, it's a funnel, you concentrate it all down into a tube. And the tube goes to the ditch and it's coming out like a freaking faucet, and it's gonna erode away even under the rocks. So what you want, and we're having a more frequent high intensity rains like that, so
Right.
if it comes down, they used to use, when it wasn't as much as we have, they used to use something called a level lip spreader. It would come out of your drain pipe and it would hit something and spread it, so it didn't come out as far
Yeah.
one way, but spread out, and that would go across your
Yeah.
lawn. But this, now we have more, and this is a whole roof.
Yeah.
And so you go, okay, it comes down and it goes into a small pool, like almost, and you have to do the calculations for rain gardens, which are on thousands of sites.
Yeah.
It's about
Yeah.
like that big. It's because this hole here, like 2 feet deep, it goes in and it builds up and then it gradually goes out to the bottom and filters out, like if there's stuff on the rooftop, like if
Yeah.
he has asphalt.
Yeah, yeah.
shingles.
Yeah.
So.
I was just gonna ask you a question. Rebecca, could we use a dry well? That concrete, looks like a well. It's a concrete cylinder, has holes all around it. You fill it with gravel and the water goes in there and then it slowly comes out.
Yeah, I mean, I guess so.
Fair enough.
I'd have to do, yeah, I have to do I wouldn't know,
Yeah.
you'd have to have somebody
You know
do
what
the
I'm
calculations.
talking about? Yeah, because
Because-
they use it in a lot of areas where, you just can't do very
Right.
much. And it just looks like it's either a 36 inch or a 48 inch round cylinder, has holes all around
Right.
it. You put it in the ground, fill it with gravel, the pipe goes in there. So that the water cannot go anywhere but into that, and then it slowly,
Right, and
comes
the
out.
only thing it is an overflow, right? If you have
Yeah.
excess, you don't want it starting to force like channels underground,
Yeah.
right? Because then it starts beginning to subside and
Yeah.
it would collapse.
yeah,
But that would be a different strategy to do the same
Yeah.
thing.
I
yeah.
mean, because you're so close to the lake, this is why there's a permit for this particular building. And, but we're also thinking about kind of like, not just protecting the lake, but also protecting your beach, protecting the ditch, protecting your property as well.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
So your neighbor has the pipe going through, he did the same thing, he's got a garage. What, do you know what the erosion is from that, or how much water is through in that when it's raining? Zero. So I guess that's a thing to consider.
I mean, I guess where is that?
I
pipe
have a
getting?
lot, I have a house that, I'm on a slope, same thing, and
Where is that pipe draining from your neighbor? Is it coming off of a roof or is it just draining his yard?
Coming off of his garage, and I think part of his
his
yard,
garage is about the same size, I think it's like 20.
that's about that big coming out of the, coming down out of the beach.
Uh,
Yeah, so,
Probably.
yeah, so, yeah, I wonder, I don't know how to determine that, but I guess that would be a good, if it's not happening to him, then it's, I don't see what would be happening to us with the condition, because his yard is actually even cleared out more than my customer's yard, so, I mean, it's, did you see that where when you walked in and the new garage was there, and he's got a lot of yard up there that's cleared out.
Yeah, I didn't,
I mean, a lot more than what we.
yeah, I just came in to get this.
Yeah, oh, okay.
So another,
So,
another,
I mean, so, right, if we had a normal development project, we'd say you'd have an engineer and they go calculate the stormwater runoff from a 1 in 100-year storm, given that surface area. That's what, and then what are you gonna do with that?
Yeah.
And so, I mean, there's a standard, I mean, we've looked at tons of these standard process for figuring out what to do with your stormwater runoff.
Yeah, I'm just
you're-
not familiar, I'm not familiar with that, so I mean, I've done a lot of these, but we haven't run into that problem, so.
Right.
really,
We usually deal with the ditches and, yeah, and
That's the property, like the fence is kind of a, but his yard just goes way up there. It's kind of, right? There's his garage.
Mhm.
It's the-
Yeah,
That's the level yard, that's a level yard.
yeah, well. not
we
really.
also have gutters
Look,
on the property, on the garage too.
Yeah.
which,
yeah,
uh-huh.
You know, I could cut the water in half by diverting that water just onto the yard. You know what I mean? If it's.
I don't know. What's that?
Sure, these, you cut down the total amount.
Yeah,
You're
I guess
concerned
another
about the
thought is-
runoff from upstream of the garage,
yeah,
basically.
yeah. I mean, I guess another thought is, if that pipe is sitting in gravel, if it instead it goes straight to the lake, if it, you know, did something else on its
Like a
way
French
there,
drain.
like a French drain to allow water to percolate out of it as it naturally
Yeah.
traveled downhill,
There's a, yeah.
to slow it down
There's a
to
lot.
decrease the
Yeah.
volume.
So here's.
That might work.
I knew it, I knew it had this things.
Uh-huh.
See the white pipe right
The
there.
French
Yeah,
drain is
yeah.
the same thing as a dry well,
And
basically.
there's.
Yeah,
it's just that French drain is longer.
Yes.
Yeah, I didn't know
Or
where.
expose it,
We have a
right.
cistern. but it
Um,
all goes
So,
in.
so.
Right.
Yeah.
you don't wanna run it right
Yeah.
through the same one. I mean, that
No,
would just double the.
no, it's a ditch on my side.
Uh-huh,
The ditch is on my side,
uh-huh,
but I get water from his yard on my side.
uh-huh.
So would the
It's
board,
never a heavy flow.
would the
Oh,
board,
okay.
would the board be comfortable with something like a French drain? Or a cistern or
Just some kind of addressing.
some
Okay,
way
yeah.
some way to stop the water from flowing directly
Sure.
into the lake.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm gonna go over there and see how much room there is. There's also bedrock I'm dealing with. and
Yeah, yeah,
Whatever we propose, I wanna be, I don't wanna have to come back,
yeah,
dig it, and we can't do it, but
Yeah.
yeah, certainly a French drain is easy to do.
yeah.
Yeah, well,
When, so what kind of timeline are you on? Because, you know, we meet, you know, again in 2 weeks, but to get materials ahead of time, we need them a week ahead of time. So, you know, if this is the kind of thing that you feel like you need a couple weeks to think
No,
about
I
and
can-
consider
no, I can put this together in a week,
and get it to Neil's, and then we could put it on for our next meeting.
Sure, yeah.
Okay. And that date would be November 7th, I believe.
Second or sorry.
Let me look.
7.
I should 7th.
It's November 7th.
November 7th. And so we could put it on then, and then I guess our other question is, you know, do we want to ask for a public hearing for this project?
Yeah,
I
don't feel, you feel like, no, we don't need a public hearing for this. This is.
I don't feel like
Very
we need
simple,
one
it's
either. It's
legit.
No, no,
straightforward.
we don't need a public.
Yeah.
No.
I don't think so.
All right, so no public hearing, we put it on for November 7th in anticipation of a plan, a design to basically absorb the storm water, so it doesn't get
Yeah.
into it.
Yeah.
Okay,
Great, I
all
feel
right,
better about that.
yeah,
So will you, when you get the big rain event?
yeah, it'll, overall, it's gonna preserve your property. It's also gonna preserve water quality, and that's,
Yep.
that's what we got, okay, it's kind of the pros and cons of living on the lake.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. All right, any other questions for the applicant?
Mm.
Any questions for us? Okay, all right, and I'll come on out at some point just to take a
Oh,
peek
cool.
around, I don't know exactly when. If you want me to give you a call, I can, or shoot you a text, it's up to you.
May not be there and come back, but you're all there.
Are
Okay,
you gonna be there this week, Tom? This coming week, or you're here this week, right?
Yeah.
Any chance you could pick it up this week?
yeah, I mean, I could also just poke around, like, you don't have to be there.
Yeah.
So, if you don't mind me poking around, I'll just do that,
Cause
cause
it's raining really good too. We can check out.
Exactly, okay, all right. All right,
There'll be construction people there.
okay.
Not for the club.
All right, sounds good. And any of the other board members might do the same if that's all right.
Yeah.
All right.
Great.
All right,
Thank you so
yeah,
much.
thank you.
For your questions.
Thank you.
All right.
Very
Alright,
professional,
I-
guys, nicely done,
Last order of business tonight.
okay. I wrote it.
Rebecca's agenda item. All
Alright.
right.
So. Some time ago, I mentioned to you that. All right, the concern about subdividing,
Could I ask you one
Yeah.
question? Can you tell me the part of the code so I can just
yes,
open it
there's
up?
actually, it's in two separate sections. So in 212-48, 49, under Lakeshore Zone. And it's also in the conservation zone as F, point F, 2112-55F. The same thing.
Same thing, so I'm
Yep.
gonna look at
You only need to-
212-4.
Lakeshore Zone.
Lakeshore, right.
Okay, thanks.
So
Okay.
when we first created the conservation zone and then later the lake was steep slopes. The issue constantly under conversation was the fact, well, what's our goal? We're trying to preserve the conservation zone and it's all these benefits to us, the attractiveness, you know, unique natural areas. By the lake, the steep slopes, we want to keep them vegetated. And we realized if you subdivide one time, okay, that's great, but then the people buy one chunk of that, and what if they want to subdivide? That what happens is what we call salami tactics. You have a whole salami and you take off one little piece and then another little piece, and suddenly what you intended is gone, but it happened little pieces at a time. And we came up with this strategy, all right. What we're trying to do is keep some chunks of land, it's fairly large. So we talked about 2 acre versus 5 acre zoning, and that's when we said, well, what about 5 acre? That's when we came up with the conversation about coverage. How much are you allowed to clear? Like we just saw for his property, it's like you're only allowed 5% or 10% coverage removed, right? That was, so we were looking for strategies to keep chunks of land that we care about in native vegetation, basically. And so wildlife could use it, like the bald eagles along the conservation zone. Other organisms like that. And one of the ways that we discussed and came up with, which none of you were aware of, and I've been trying to find it, thinking, did I make that up? I contacted Darby Kiley, who was our environmental planner, and I found it while looking at this stuff, and I'm sorry it took me this long. The way we dealt with was say, well, you can't just keep subdividing these pieces. Every time somebody buys something new, they get to break it down to whatever the zoning is. So if you have a 100-acre parcel or a 50-acre parcel, and it's a 5 acre zoning, well then in theory there's 10 parcels, or 2 acre, there's 25, right? And everybody clears it and suddenly all you have are houses and lawns. And the way we did it was this. Okay, limitations on subdivisions of parent tracts, okay? Any tract or parcel of land, one ownership at the time of the creation of the zone, December 17th, 2013. So when this was created, we said, subject to other normally applicable subdivision laws and regulations, may be subdivided to create up to and not more than 3 lots. And the intent was that, okay, the parent property's there, somebody wants to take off a piece, fine. Then that parent piece can have 1 more, 2 more times, that's it. Okay, then in theory, we end up retaining a chunk of the land. And that was one of the ways we said we would protect the areas we care, the conservation zone and the lakeshore zone. Now, I've watched us looking at properties and I'm pretty sure at least one has slid by us where somebody subdivided it and we get it. And y'all don't know, we don't know, we go, oh yeah, you're allowed to subdivide it if it's all their qualifications, but it's really number 4. So, I finally found it, and it's like, guys, we have now got to look at some of the things that have happened since 2013. Some of these parcels cannot be subdivided again. Now, in theory, if we had everything in GIS, we could follow all this. It's not gonna be easy to figure it out. But it's really important because this is how you stop total transition of a landscape from, you know, one look to then it's just nothing but houses or whatever. So we have a law, we have a rule.
What property, which subdivision are you thinking of? That, do you remember?
Well,
Because I've been thinking of it ever since you originally brought this up a long time ago. And it didn't, at that time, we dismissed it, but then I never found the rule again, because I know you've done.
Well, I-
Look, there are, they're
I think
very,
a recent example of this would be the one at the corner of Garrett Road and Perry City, that where the house is on the north
Right.
side and the farm on the south side.
Oh, yeah.
That was one property, now it's two properties. So the max split out of
That's
that,
not
then,
one
conservation.
more.
That's not.
but
conservation,
that's,
that would be an example. It's not
But
in
it
the
is.
conservation.
but
zone.
it's
But it is one, yeah.
Right.
it's similar to what you're looking at.
Right.
Right.
And Perry City, we definitely have properties further down past where the Buffalo Farm is, I think, where people have been subdividing out, and I'm pretty sure one of those is gonna fall into this.
So
category.
question of, if you were applying for a subdivision in the Lakeshore zone. There could be a question on the application saying disclose any previous subdivisions, or we would have to check it in some way as well, but that question to say. Disclose any subdivisions, from 2013 until now,
They can't, they wouldn't know how to do it. We're the
Yeah.
only ones who can, and
so how do we do it then? Is a
So
good
you go
question.
back
I think the tax map.
yeah,
right?
I mean, you
You
have to look
back
at
at the tax map.
previous parcel maps and tax map. I mean,
Yeah.
it won't be easy to do what's in the past, but it's worth it. But now, I mean, you're amazing at keeping track of stuff. And GIS is, spatial mapping is very easy to say. Now, in theory, it should have been put on as a deed restriction on the property. When
Right.
you bought the property, it should
Right.
say, this was the first of the three allowable for this property, and no more can occur.
That's
So-
actually a pretty good idea.
And it's fair,
Yeah.
because it would give fair warning.
It would be on the deed, it would
Right.
be written in
Right,
on the deed,
So I
or
don't-
on the plat, whichever.
So I
Yeah.
don't, I wish we had, I don't know what, but I can't, I don't know why
How
it
would
wasn't.
we make that a requirement? Make something like that a deed.
Because we've done it with deed
Yeah.
restrictions, like we dealt with the Bartashevitz property where
Yeah.
they had a.
To do it, so we
and
just said
remember?
that, yeah.
Right, and it
right.
said this can no longer have any subdivisions on it because that was the deal. So we have to make, the deed's the only place where the person buying or subdividing would look at it and see it. So we have a way to move forward, but we really need. It's like everything else, enforcement, looking for and now figuring out how to kind of backtrack.
Right.
Like maybe
Yeah.
the way to do it is. As new ones come to us, it's like, okay, we've got one, guys. This
Yeah,
looks like
let's look
one we
back.
have to go backtrack. We'll have to figure out who
Yeah.
owned it before and
Mhm.
backtrack through. It's one of the few ways we have. I
Yeah.
think it's really critical that we try to follow.
It's 10 years and it's not 50 years.
Exactly. And we still have large tracts of beautiful land that need to be protected.
And I don't
And-
see lots of subdivisions coming in front of us on the Lakeshore zone
Or conservation district.
or conservation.
That's
district.
true, gets a
That
little
is
more, there's
larger,
been one.
There's more bigger pieces when you jump up to the
Yeah.
conservation.
Yeah.
Much of the lakeshore is more.
Yeah, Lakeshore's always.
There's
already
that farm that just split up. I forgot what road it's on, where they were selling all that land, that they split it all up into 10 and 20 acre lots. Something like that. It
Where's
was,
that?
it was on I got a notice in the mail. Where it was for sale.
Oh.
You know which one I'm talking about?
The notice, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Is it in our town?
Yeah, it's in our town. I
Well, that's
think.
not, is it in the
Well, isn't it-
conservation zone?
We
Oh,
have-
no, it might be in
I
Enfield.
think it must be, we haven't seen that come through.
It's unfair.
Is it in Enfield?
Yeah,
It
Oh,
could be.
well,
We'd have to see
I
that.
thought you might know.
You would have had to see it.
Yeah, we'd have to see that.
yeah, no, I think it's in Schuyler even.
Oh, really?
That was my reaction, and I started to try to find it because it was unclear, because they were trying to sell us.
Yeah, the whole farm, yeah.
It seems like instead of mapping out every subdivision of the last 10 years in the zone, we look at the ones that come in front of us. I mean, is that something that How do we do that?
So,
How do you do that? Sorry, maybe it shouldn't be, you. I don't know.
yeah, we can do this as a research, like Molly and I can work from 2013, looking at the tax rolls and or the tax maps. Just to see what's been subdivided in the lakeshore zone, conservation
Yeah.
zone, and then we'll have that record.
Yeah, okay, so then you just know, and you're like, okay, this one can't be done again, or this could be the last one, or
Yeah.
that could be part of our discussion.
What do we do about
The ones that have
future
already been-
buyers?
Deed restriction,
The deed restriction
Yeah.
would be where, I mean, where the legal part, where they look at the deed and say, oh, because you look for other restrictions, like, oh, gas line goes through there, you look for what you're allowed to do. So it's both in the lakeshore zone as a, I don't know what determines whether they're 212-49 or a F under something else. So they're not listed as the same, they're not consistent in how they're laid out in Arizona.
Excuse me, it's in Trumansburg. It was a 300-acre farm that's being completely liquidated, and one of the parcels is 26 acres.
but is it in Schuyler County?
Excuse me?
Is it in Sky, I mean. They
Just
say
says- it just
Trumansburg,
says
but it's not
Village of
really
Trumansburg, 7 miles from downtown Ithaca.
Is it down the conservation zone?
I have no idea.
No, it couldn't be.
It can't be in
It have to be.
It's not in the
Right.
village.
it can't be in the village.
If that's a real estate listing, they're not gonna be accurate about
Yeah, I know.
where it actually
Yeah.
is.
It's also only listed for 200, so that can't be right either.
And it says
No,
something
no,
about being near the
200,000 for
park.
26 acres.
The,
It's, I know it's a farm, but I'm not sure. It just says 7 miles from downtown Ithaca.
They're lying.
Well, that would be nice to know, but if it is ours. I mean,
Because I got a notice in the mail. It was a card that they sent, and they said they're liquidating this 300.
Oh,
they
I got
could
that, that
If
notice.
it's in Ulysses, they haven't subdivided it yet. 'cause
That's
it
true.
would come to
Right, they
us.
didn't come to us, yeah.
Maybe they're looking for interest.
Yeah.
Maybe they're deciding whether or not it's worth it. I don't know.
Okay, so do we
Alright.
need a resolution or anything regarding this issue? I
don't
think is
think
that
so.
important, right? But
I
we're gonna,
think Niels has said that he, and you're gonna look at the maps and come up with a list of ones that have been subdivided 2 or 3 times.
And we'll do the research, see what's actually out there and do a little memo presentation or whatever.
okay, I may end up saying at some point, I want a resolution, so it's. We lost track of it, and the resolutions are kind of the way that things that do get documented, our conversations end up in meeting minutes,
Yeah.
but rarely get read, but the resolutions tend to be more documented.
Can we wait until we
Yeah.
get the memo?
No, we
and
have
then
to
make
do
a
that.
resolution
You're all
based
aware
on
of it
that?
now, and we
Yeah.
can do something. I finally, I'm so
Yeah.
pleased that I found it. so-
It's way down at the bottom.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and then the
I've
under,
looked for it independently other times,
and under.
because I wasn't
conservation
sure it
zone-
was what districts it was in.
Yeah, conservation zone, it's just F under. Path of design standards, it's just like buried. So, yeah, okay, good, anyway.
All
great,
right,
that makes me feel better, design standards.
thanks for bringing that up with that, I appreciate it.
It's pretty major.
Yeah, sure is, sure is.
Yeah.
I would accept the motion. to-
No.
Oh, yes, our illustrious board liaison, what report do you have for us tonight?
Well, thanks for the referral on, it's very complete and good. and I
Oh, thank you.
Take it up again at the next meeting. These are the board members.
Would you like some of us to come?
I think it was, why don't we check with Kate, it's gonna be on the agenda, isn't it? Yeah.
I'll talk to her tomorrow about
Let's
that.
put it on the agenda. And yeah, whoever wants to show.
Okay, this coming, this is next Tuesday.
I'll be in.
28.
I won't be able to do it before.
I usually go.
You're there.
I was, yeah, I was,
Okay.
yeah.
Might go, do you, like, you have to bring banners and signs and stuff.
No, you just have to bring snacks for
You have
everybody.
to save that for the,
Mm.
let's see.
All right. All right, anything else, Rich? Okay,
I'll make a motion.
all right, motion to adjourn. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Excellent, thank you, everybody.